Watching today, thanks for your company. Donald Trump is this morning dialing up the pressure on Venezuela's president amid accusations the country is inadequately addressing drug cartel activity.
To discuss, we are joined by former US Air Force Commander Glenn Ignazio live in Connecticut. Glenn, good to see you.
Glenn.
So the United States' biggest aircraft carrier has arrived in the Caribbean now. That seems like a pretty serious show of force.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. Not just the carrier, but it's got the submarines, missile destroyers, and so forth. So yeah, that's a huge package down there. And so not only that, but you also have the Air Force fighters and bombers that are sitting in what's called Roosevelt Roads in the area.
He's holding all the military cards at the moment for the threat of some activity. Do you think that's actually going to happen?
I think it's a lot of, again, deterrence, putting that much force down. And you see the strikes of the smaller drug boats. But again, those small drug boats, they're really low on the totem pole. But the biggest thing is applying pressure into Venezuela. And if the president's going to, come through and do something about it. Of course, the U.S. has always looked at him as an illegitimate president. So, is there something there? I don't think it's a regime change. But there is a possibility of doing land strikes against those leaders and the actual labs. That'd be a significant hit to the cartels if they did something like that.
And have we landed here because diplomatic efforts have failed? I mean, I know Donald Trump has been banging on about this for several months now.
I think it's a combination of things. First of all, the border was wide open. The fentanyl was flowing through. China wasn't stopping the precursors that they used to make it. And so we've got some of that under control. They closed the border. There really hasn't been a big impact on the drug enforcement. The DEA does a great job. I mean, they bust their tail. But, border, air, land, sea has been open. Now they're taking a different action, and they're putting the pressure on both Mexico, Venezuela, and Colombia. So it's a different tactic, very aggressive. But again, you got the political leadership of Venezuela in question, plus the drugs moving through. So I think it's a two-phase approach.
Do it's interesting because last week, when Great Britain pulled out of sharing intelligence around this stuff, and there were questions about, what level of proof they had in striking these boats. Can you give us an insight into what level of proof they may have on the ground?
Yeah, absolutely. So there's a couple of things. So before a target is struck, there's going to be a package or at least a lot of intelligence. So there's human intelligence. Those are basically spies. So you could have special forces or intelligence or even other confidential informants that are on the ground saying, hey, they're hauling these drugs in this place. Then you have space-based, and of course, some of the imagery from aircraft and everything are so detailed that even on the TV, you can see the packages of dope and so forth inside of it. In addition, those long open-faced boats with 4 giant Oven-Root engines are not fishing boats. They're moved for high speed and long range. And so there's a variety that makes that decision, and that's where the hit is taken. So there is a lot, and there are some legalities behind the ability to take out that strike, but I can understand how like England and others are trying to pull back and distance that because those are more about U.S. laws and what they're applying to take these boats out.
Well, he's unpredictable, the US president, so we'll wait to see what decision he ultimately lands on. Glenn, thanks for joining us today and your insight. Appreciate it.
Certainly a big show of force right in that neck of the woods.